Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to our congregation, we want to get to know you and share a part of your journey. If this place is already your spiritual home, welcome once more. We need one another, and it is good to be together again. Through the gifts of technology, we also gather virtually to celebrate community and connections as we lean into the values of justice, compassion, and reason. Welcome to all those who are joining us in this way today. Together, we learn the love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service this morning. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love.
Arise, O souls, arise.
Welcome. I am David Jackel, member of All Souls, and I echo the welcome statement in the video for both those here and those watching online. When we say welcome here at All Souls UU Church, we welcome you. You with all the identities you hold and your fullness as a person are welcome here. We hope that you will bring your whole self to this time together. We welcome those who have long been a part of our community and those here for the first time. Please extend through conversations with new faces after the service. It may be the beginning of a warm, long relationship.
Say his name. Tyree Nichols. Tyree was, by all accounts, a kind, caring man. Let us remember him as a photographer and an avid skateboarder. Let us remember him as a father. Let us remember him as a man who loved his mother and actively worked to be a better person. We know who he was because of how he died, beaten by police officers in Memphis. We say his name among the other names of those black men who died needlessly at the hands of police. We have access to video footage of the tragedy that he suffered. The system of violence has not yet changed. It hasn't changed after Michael Brown in Ferguson. It hasn't changed after national outcry in response to George Floyd in Minneapolis. The work has not ended. We who believe in justice must continue to recognize the harm that all of us suffer through the brutality of police. The system is beginning to become accountable as police officers have been fired and charged with second-degree murder, but only sometimes and only in some places, and that is not enough to prevent the horrific violence. We continue to be called to change the system. But this morning, I want us to remember Tyree as he was every day of his life before this tragedy. A kind soul, a loving son and father, a photographer with an eye for the hidden beauties around us all. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness, and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope, is hallowed by our presence together. And I invite Akiko forward to light our chalice.
Good morning. I light this chalice for justice, equality, and compassion in human relations.
And now if you will rise and, as you are able, and repeat after me, or with me, our covenant, and then stay standing for our goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
I have a story for you. And it is written by Cotter Coillberg, who is a personal friend of mine and a delightful colleague. And I am just so happy to be able to share her story with you this morning. She writes, I don't know that it happened this way, but I do know that it's true, that long ago and far away, or more likely recently and quite nearby, high up in the mountains on a black cherry tree, an egg was laid on a leaf. And in the light of the full moon, out of that egg hatched a little brownish caterpillar with white markings that would look to any bird who might chance by, perhaps a little like bird droppings. The caterpillar's name was Homer. Homer looked around in surprise and wonder to find himself alive in the world. "Better eat your egg casing, little friend," said a black and spiky caterpillar nearby. Homer did just that, and then turned to look at his new friend. "Welcome to the world," said the other caterpillar, whose name was Alex. "It's delicious. Here, try some of this leaf." Together, the two caterpillars munched on leaves that spring, through rain and sun, sunrises and sunsets. They laughed together at the antics of baby birds and hid under leaves that the black spiky caterpillar had collected, so that the parent birds could not catch them. Alex taught Homer all he needed to know about life on a leaf: how to stay safe, how to munch, how to enjoy the feeling of the wind stirring the tree and the sun slowly warming the mountains each morning. Together, they gazed each night up at the beautiful moon. But one day, the black spiky caterpillar started something totally new and different. "What are you doing?" asked Homer, as Alex carefully put down silk on the underside of a twig in the newest collection of leaves and began hanging upside down. "Making a chrysalis," said Alex. "A what?" "You'll see." And over the next couple of days in the shelter of the leaves, the spiky black caterpillar shifted and shed its skin and became a strange, lumpy brown thing hanging there, not making any conversation. What could this mean? For a week, Homer munched quietly by himself, watching the strange brown hanging thing that used to be his friend, wondering and worrying as the strange lumpy brown thing shifted in color and size and pattern. And then, one day, out of the strange lumpy brown chrysalis pushed an even stranger new creature. Homer watched as this new creature pumped blood into its black and white and bright orange wings, and unfurled a strange new mouth. "What?" cried Homer. "Who?" The new creature turned to look at him. "Oh, little friend," it said, "it's still me, Alex. The one you laughed and hid and munched leaves and watched the moon with. But now I'm a butterfly. An admiral butterfly, to be specific," Alex said proudly. "But you changed," cried Homer. "You were as constant as the moon, and now you have changed." "Oh, friend," they said, "we're supposed to change. Why, even the moon is different from night to night. Sometimes we see all of it, sometimes only a sliver, and sometimes we can't see it at all." "But I don't want to change," lamented Homer, scared and sad. "Change is part of who we are," said the butterfly who was Alex. "And now our friendship must change too. I must fly away in search of flowers and other butterflies. And eventually I will fly south to stay warm in the winter. You must continue to eat and grow and stay safe from the birds. But you will change too. Just remember, you are loved, and whatever your body does, you are a beautiful friend, and I'm glad to know you." And with that, Alex took to the sky. All that summer, Homer the little brown caterpillar ate and grew and hid and watched the moon, which did indeed look a little different every night. Homer became a bigger brown caterpillar. His white splotch turned into two little eye shapes, so he looked like a fearsome little snake and no birds ate him. Day by day, the seasons moved toward autumn. And finally, Homer found his own safe spot to hang upside down and shifted into a chrysalis. This was scary, but Homer remembered his friend and was brave. All winter, the chrysalis hung there safe and still. And in the spring, Homer felt himself stir, felt his new body shift once again, and wiggled free to find himself with a new mouth and different shape and wings. Wings that were yellow and black and blue and orange and glorious. "Oh my," said Homer, the Appalachian tiger swallowtail, gazing at himself in wonder and delight. And then he took off into the sky, up towards the bright moon, bold as a bird, up the broad sweep of Bruce Knob. Please join in singing our children to their classes.
Go now in peace, may love guide all your ways. Beauty be the blessings of your nights and days. Truth on your lips and kindness in your deeds. Faith to follow where the human spirit leads.
Hello again. So I have been asked to give the ask today. As we are collecting our offering today, what I would like you to think about is the change that we're trying to help our youth go through. So what I'm asking for today is donations that go towards our Boston trip. So our coming of age youth, which we haven't gotten to do because of the pandemic for the last couple of years, so we have a rather large group, is going on a trip to Boston this summer. We have 10 youth that we are sending. As of right now, we are short about $5,400 to be able to fully fund that trip. And if you, again, a numbers guy, all right, we're looking at about $2,000 a piece to be able to pull this off. This is a week-long excursion to Boston for them to learn all about our UU history, to visit a number of incredibly important sites for them to be able to get insight into what our faith is about and what has happened in the past. And as you know, we have a lot of work yet to be done. And most hopefully, our youth are going to be the ones that are going to be doing that work. And so that's why it's incredibly important for you today to help us out with being able to send our youth to Boston. Thank you. Please join with me as we dedicate our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change towards a just and compassionate society.
Octavia Butler is the author of this piece of poetry called Earthseed. Here we are, energy, mass, life shaping life, mind shaping mind, God shaping God. Consider, we are born not with purpose, but with potential. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God change.
Fill me with anxiety, O life. Electrify me, make me nervous beyond any staid concern for those things which challenge placid, flaccid ways, anachronisms of being, keep me tense, a tiptoe, blinking at the novel, reaching out for those things just beyond my fingertips, so that I may make patterns, dreams, fashion worlds which will beat with life, for I would be a man and on the move.
I climbed the narrow ladder, more than 20 feet into the air, and I felt it shaking under my weight. At the top, I grabbed the platform's supports as though my life depended on it, and somehow pulled my legs up onto the platform to stand. I was at the top of the flying trapeze rig, standing on the board, my first time ever to try flying trapeze about 3 years ago. The instructor fastened the guide ropes to the harness at my waist. and pulled the bar toward me. I stretched farther than I thought possible to reach it from the very edge of the board. And the moment felt like an eternity, stretched over nothingness like that, waiting to be told to jump. But I did jump, my heart in my throat, swinging out with nothing but my hands holding me to the bar. I was terrified. I need to make that clear, because when the instructor on the ground asked me how I was doing while I was hanging there, which she said she was going to do, I said that I wasn't doing very well, but I may have used stronger language than that. She told me to go ahead and let go. And I did. I let go of the bar, and I fell. But it was a slow, controlled fall, guided by the ropes. I fell nonetheless into the net, and the net dipped down and back up again, causing me to bounce slightly into the air, just once. I've noticed that when I bounce, it is usually because I decided to do so. Maybe not as dramatically as taking a flying trapeze class, but I see that something must change, that I cannot stay where I am. I form a plan, I determine my surroundings, and I let go. And the falling feels controlled. I can feel the harness around my waist lowering me until that soft landing and the new upwards energy. Energy pushing me in a new direction. Several years ago, I was swinging where I was losing energy. I didn't like where I lived. The job I had wasn't good for me. And the relationship I was in, which was the reason I'd moved to that city and found that job, well, that relationship was no longer working. And I was stuck there, grasping the bar, holding on for life, but not really life. And I made a plan. I knew there was a new place, Minneapolis, and enough money to be okay for a while, and a strong net of old friends. When I let go, I could channel the fall into the bounce. I landed on my feet, energized, empowered even. The fall itself has energy. It pulls on you as you accelerate. In that moment of time, as I was falling, I claimed that very energy that was my fall. I directed it into the bounce that picked me back up. Because falling is energy, potential energy from physics. Simply by being poised in a place where falling is possible, there is an energy present, the potential of the fall, of being pulled down by gravity, its force creating that energy within. So if we take the racquetball and hold it in the air, it is potential energy. The energy of a fall is inherent in the racquetball, and when it hits the ground, that energy is transferred into the ground and the ball itself to cause bounce. What makes it possible for the racquetball to bounce is that it's pliable. It bends and returns to its shape. This is an inherent resilience. When the ball hits the ground, the surface bends inward with that energy of the fall. And with that very same energy, it returns to its shape, creating the spectacular result of a bounce. It's in the air again, just the same as it was, continuing on. The energy of that bounce, for any of us, might be unpredictable. There's the fall and the moment of contact, and all of that energy is going somewhere. But what direction will the bounce take? Will we find something new and unexpected as we are hurtled once again into the air? That moment of bounce, anything and everything is possible. You are in the air again, headed in a new direction, out of control, but present to this realm of possibility. It isn't where you were, but it is going somewhere. You let go, and you bounced. Sometimes you don't plan for that fall. Hanging there from your trapeze bar, swinging, it's time to let go and grab the hands of the catcher. But you miss. And instead of continuing to swing from your new place, you find yourself unexpectedly falling. You could still bounce. A fall doesn't have to be intentional or controlled for there to be a bounce. The energy is there, and it can launch you back up again, just as if you had intended it. Folk singer Anne Reid sings a song, "Good Thing I Bounce." In it, she recounts ways in which things have gone wrong in life, and yet she always comes back to the refrain, "Good thing I bounce." Oh, to the moon and down, a little ice on the ground. Ooh, good thing I bounce. Trip of the lip, a few slick seconds, and everything can change. Good thing I bounce. It's going to be okay, because you will bounce and find yourself in that new place. The author Eric Greitens wrote, "Life's reality is that we cannot bounce back. We cannot bounce back because we cannot go back in time to the people we used to be. The parent who loses a child never bounces back. The 19-year-old who sails for war is gone forever, even if he returns. You know that there is no bouncing back. There is only moving through. What happens to us becomes a part of us. Resilient people do not bounce back from hard experiences. They find healthy ways to integrate them into their lives." Greitens is a combat vet who wrote this as part of a series of letters to a friend who was struggling terribly with PTSD. And with his words, I realized that my metaphor of bouncing fails. Because sometimes when we fall, instead of bouncing, we shatter into pieces. Sometimes we aren't a racquetball that can simply use the energy to get back up again. Sometimes we don't bounce, but find ourselves on the ground, lost, seemingly broken, unable to bounce back. Instead of simply bouncing back into shape, maybe resilience is about having one small piece of self that you hold on to and simply recreate everything else. Building it back from scratch, bit by bit, piece by piece, until it holds together again. This seems like the most challenging, difficult work. It's exhausting to knit your own self back together, to make sense of what has happened, and to find a way to move forward. And yet, every day, people are doing this. Every day, we are adapting to the pains and the hurts of falling and breaking and finding the ways to keep going, to stitch it back together. Some days it's little things that cause us to break down, and sometimes big changes cause a spectacular fall that leaves very little left to work with. Yet that pulling together can still happen. It does. With an effort that seems impossible, but somehow is. We find ways to move from surviving to living. And sometimes this is through intentional changes in our lives, and sometimes it happens simply over time, but all of those broken bits are swept aside or they're pulled back into the whole, and it is possible to continue on and forward. Central to this is finding your core of truth, that nugget of who you are that cannot be torn apart, that will not break even when you fall. You have this inside of you, even if you do not recognize it. It is central to your being, a belief, a truth, a love, the part of you that is wholly you and does not change. I hope that you will identify what this piece is for you. By nurturing it, you will become stronger and more resilient when you do fall. With this piece, it will be easier to integrate the hard experiences as Greeton's intimates. There will be a part of you that is confident and sure, into which the hard experiences may become yet other parts. So hold on to your little core of truth. Not so tightly as to crush it. It will be that of you that is not rigid, but will bend just enough when you fall to maybe allow you to bounce. But even if you do not bounce and break instead, you have that core of who you are with which to recreate yourself. Why is it, though, that when a person is falling or a person has fallen and broken, it is entirely upon them to somehow become all right again? There is a rampant individualism in our society that insists that each person must somehow do this on our own. Put the pieces back together, find a way forward all by yourself, figure it out and pick yourself up. The responsibility is placed on the individual as a way for society to absolve itself of any duty for the well-being of its people. And even worse, our society has made it shameful to ask for help. You must do it on your own, for you will be judged as unworthy for asking for support, for care, for help putting yourself back together. And so we hide our brokenness and our struggle behind a facade of a smile and continued productivity, knowing all the while inside ourselves that the fall was too much and that it is more than we can bear to even try to put the pieces back together again. And so I must ask, what if there were no shame in this? What if the community were designed to hold you when you are lost in your brokenness, to support you as you piece things back together, to offer guidance and strength through the arduous process of becoming whole? For the truth is that all of us have fallen. Some of us have bounced before, but all of us have hit the bottom without bouncing back up. It is a truth of our human condition that we have suffered great loss and struggled against the brokenness. We can be together in the work of holding one another through these difficulties of life. The opportunity to be seen for who you are, even the parts that have not reknit themselves, even the truth that you may have of feeling at the bottom right at this moment, the possibility of being held. That is the promise of this place, of this religious community. It is why you're here. To have others with you as you navigate the world and put pieces together in your life. While all of us are swinging from the flying trapeze, making our way through, hoping that we do not fall, community is our net. Community is how we can let go or fall, knowing that there is something there to catch us, to help us bounce. We are interwoven together, piece by piece, into this strong fabric that offers that sense, that reality of safety. This is us as a congregation, as a religious community. Together, we can offer the support that each other needs. Together, we can find our core truths that allow us to bend and not break. Together, we can put the pieces back together. For we need a truth that when all else fails, the truth, you are not alone. Falling, bouncing, falling, breaking, sacred, becoming whole. No matter the direction you are headed, whether you are falling, whether you are launching from a bounce, whether you are in pieces clutching your own truth, you are whole. You are held in our net. You are the net for those around you. The love holds you, just as you hold the love. Amen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing words are my favorite ever, by Wayne B. Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.